lot of reading because it keeps me kind of focused.
That's okay.
So a lot of you don't know me. My name is Becky Wolfinger, like she said, and I'm part of the team over there from Pennsylvania. We're a Pennsylvania crew. So we all have a story that in some way can touch the lives of or speak to somebody else's heart, which is part of the blessing of our business. My journey began 3 years ago, at the end of July, and has been a roller coaster ride ever since. In the last 3 years, I've had many personal lows that I would say motivated some of my successes with the Pampered Chef and made me more determined to reach for my dreams. The challenges began in February of 2012 when I went to work and I discovered I no longer had a job after 10 years of dedicated service to a company that I loved. It felt like a bad dream that I needed to wake up from. I mean, how was I going to provide for my family of 6 with 4 children? Where would I get a job with that type of salary, making $85,000 a year? Boy, was I glad I had Pampered Chef to fall back on. After having a conversation with Lily Mountain, I soon discovered that with the Pampered Chef, I was still able to reach a full-time income with a plan and lots of determination. I set a goal for that year to go after my business and aim high. I wanted to fill my calendar and grow my contact base to be able to have a consistent business. I knew it would be hard, but I'm always up for a good challenge. I lived by the saying, plan your work, and you work your plan. A couple of months later, in April, we were dealt an even bigger blow. I'm holding a tissue just in case. My father-in-law was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer and only given 3 months to live. This one hit hard. I have been with my husband since we were 16, and my father-in-law was more like a dad in many ways. I couldn't believe that this was happening. Then in June, another challenge. My father-in-law had to have his leg amputated due to severe clots from forming in his leg. This meant a chunk of my time would be needed to help with daily care and support for my in-laws. When will it end, I thought. Then it hit me. God always has a plan, and He reveals it in His time, not in ours. There was no way, if I had been with my former company, that I would have been able to support my family through this time or get to spend this precious time with my father-in-law. I continued to fill my calendar and do as many vendor shows to grow the leads and begin to recruit, all while still being able to take care of my in-laws' needs. My business started to grow, and I began to have a steady calendar along with a steady paycheck. My goals at this point had not changed. I needed to keep pushing through the challenges of life because my family was counting on me to provide an income. In April 2013, my father-in-law passed away. After a year-long battle with this terrible disease, he was a rock for me. He motivated and inspired me in so many ways. I had watched him for a year as he never gave up and fought the toughest battle of his life. He faced every challenge that God had given him with a smile. I knew after watching him that I could do anything I set my heart to, because a dream is nothing if you don't try to reach it. Armed with his inspiration, I wrote down new business goals, which were huge. I wanted to walk the stage at Sizzle as a director that year, to earn my first trip, and to achieve an excellence award. Sounds like a lot, but I always say go big or go home. Right? I reached the first of my goals July of that year, and I knew my father-in-law would be proudly watching me as I crossed that stage. He was always my #1 cheerleader when it came to my business. I couldn't help to take notice at Sizzle to all the achievers of the Excellence Awards and wanted me to be up there next year. Many of them are in this room. You just throw that out there. I was now determined more than ever to reach my next 2 goals. Earning a free trip was within reach, and after everything we had been through, boy did we need a vacation. Earning the Excellence Award was more personal. I felt deflated emotionally after all these recent challenges that I had been through. I also realized how losing my career after giving up so much for it had caused me to lose all the confidence in my own abilities. I learned very quickly that fall my calendar needed to stay full in order to achieve these next goals, and I always needed to have a plan B. It seemed like the cancellation fairy had come and kept wiping out the calendar. So when I had a cancellation or somebody rescheduled, I just didn't hang my head down or complain about it. I tried to quickly find a replacement for them. If it wasn't filling up with a cooking show, I would go after a catalog or Facebook show to kind of supplement. It turned out to be a very successful fall, and I averaged around $6,000 a month in sales. Recruiting was getting easier because I was always in front of people, and my confidence was starting to grow again. I realized in October that I did it. I had earned my first trip. It wasn't Punta Cana, but I had done it. I couldn't wait to share the news with my husband. He was overjoyed, and we couldn't wait to go on our first trip. We left for San Diego, March 2014, which we treated more like a honeymoon. After all, we were married for 16 years that February and had never gone on one. So we let Pamper Jeff pick up the tab. The memories we created and the friends we made during that trip, we will hold close for a lifetime. It was so worth putting a little extra effort forward. So as I reached my final goal in April by earning my first Excellence Award, I was on cloud 9. I mean, everything I had set out to accomplish had been achieved, but most importantly, my self-confidence was restored. I knew at that point that our goals are always within reach, and we tend to prevent ourselves from reaching them when we focus on tragedies of life. This was an important lesson for me to learn, as my son was just recently diagnosed in June with type 1 juvenile diabetes. I don't want him to feel in any way defined by his disease or limited because of the diagnosis that he can grow from. Through adversity, I have learned a lot of personal lessons that I can apply both personally and in my business. First, never give up on your dreams. Let the challenges of life motivate you to reach your dreams and do it with a smile on your face. Second, we will all fail, but it is how we stand back up after failure that defines us, not the failure itself. Lastly, no matter how big or small, always write down your goals. Put them somewhere where you can see them daily and go for it. You really have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. So I challenge you to ask yourself, what are your dreams? How will you reach them? And what is it that you really want from your business?